You are listening to Fantha Tracks.
Fast ship. Never heard of a William Paul?
Should I have?
It's a ship that made the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs.
What a piece of junk.
Covering Star Wars vehicles in less than 12 parsecs, this is Start Your Engines.
Don't get technical with me.
Here are your hosts, Paul Naylor and Mark Newbold.
You're listening to Start Your Engines. I'm your co-host, Mark Newbold, and joining me today is a man who would make any co-pilot proud. In fact, he doubles up as the air stewardess, I think. It's Paul Naylor.
Chicken or fish? Chicken or fish?
Pasta or rice?
Hello.
Hello, matey. How are you?
I'm good, pal. How are you?
I'm very good.
We've got a Star Wars Podcast Day episode. It is 6 years of Star Wars Podcast Day. The very first recognised Star Wars podcast, Jedi Talk, launched on the 7th of February 1999. So we celebrate that every year.
We've got a really interesting ship to talk about today, which is a little bit left of centre for us because we tend to have gone for either monster obscure ships or really well-known Star Wars OT and prequel trilogy ships. This is a ship that you will know from the Clone Wars. You will know definitely from Ahsoka and also from Tales of the Jedi. It's the T-6 Jedi Ambassador Shuttle. Now, I find this ship fascinating because it's one of those sort of like the B-wing where the wings can change around and
That's right, the cockpit stays stationary and goes almost into like a line.
Exactly that. Yeah. Exactly that. So it's from so many angles, it's a really interesting ship. What was your thoughts when you first saw this vehicle?
It's almost one of those ones, it's like you hinted at there, it's not the ultra-famous stuff like the Falcon, TIE Fighters, X-Wings or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's not mega obscure. But it's one of those ones that you almost need to see it again to remind you that, yes, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
Seeing it in live action was an absolute treat, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
So cool.
Yeah, I think that familiarity level comes in with that B-wing stationary cockpit where it can pivot around. And let's not forget as well, of course, Slave 1 also had that quality to it as well.
That's true.
As best illustrated by the toy from back in the day.
And it's funny, isn't it, that there's more ships that do that sort of rotating cockpit thing than you think. Because you mentioned Slave 1, I mentioned the B-Wing, and now you've got the T6.
It kind of makes more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when we see the Falcon doing rolls, going, what's happening to all the people inside?
That's a great thought.
Are they falling out of seats?
Can you imagine, though, if they'd have, back in the day, if they'd have done it so when you see the Falcon's cockpit, which sort of sits separate on the edge of the ship, if the whole ship's spinning around and the cockpit just stays...
That would have been great, wouldn't it?
Stationary.
That
My
would have
goodness.
actually felt like a more logical design.
Oh,
but
wow.
It would have been pretty tricky to achieve back
Very.
then.
And you wouldn't want to be walking down the corridor when it happens, would you?
No. Watch out for those hydro spanners.
Oh, my God. So it's a vehicle, as I say, we've seen it in a few different shows. You also saw it in the final episode of Rebels, which made that beautiful sort of juxtaposition to when you saw it in Ahsoka. They kind of repeated that same scene, didn't they?
Very well done. Yeah, I love that. I mean, that is almost seamless, isn't it? They copy it frame for frame
Pretty much.
in many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite up there, I suppose, in terms of being a key vehicle in Rebels. And like I say, to see it in live action, you're thinking, great. It just makes you smile, doesn't it, from ear to ear when you see something that's been translated from a much-loved animated series into live action. And of course, the possibilities these days far more exceed what we had when we were growing up in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
So pretty much anything that they decide they're going to do in animation, they can then do in live action.
Yeah, what a great place for us to be as fans.
Yeah.
Like you say, to see a vehicle like that. We saw it in the Clone Wars, numerous episodes of the Clone Wars. I think Children of the Force was the first episode we saw it in, fairly early on in the Clone Wars run. And as we say, we see it in Rebels. And we see it in flashbacks in Obi-Wan Kenobi as well, in an episode of Obi-Wan. So it's in there. It's just such a cool-looking ship. It's a shuttle. You see Sabine training on it. You see Ahsoka training on it. You know it's got all that cool stuff with the holographic system that we see Anakin in that sort of training montage. But also, when you see the sequence, that amazing flight sequence when they're flying through the Purgles.
The space whales.
Yeah, the space whales being chased by Thrawn's people, and just the whole sequence was amazing. That has been translated into a Star Tours option.
Right.
You can actually ride that in Star Tours.
So that's one of the upgrades that they've done recently, yeah?
Yeah.
It's almost quietly being pushed to the foreground, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very quietly done.
Yeah. Because of the scalability of the Jazzwares range, the size of the figures, and also I think because we see so much of this ship in Ahsoka. For example, in the episode with the Purgles, when she walks on the wing to sort of commune almost with the big Purgle that sort of leads that hyperspace jump, when they do that whole thing when they go over to Peridia, that scale her on the wing, you can totally see that.
Yeah.
You know it's to scale.
They could even make an ultra limited edition with the Purgle.
Oh my goodness! Now you're giving people funny, really, really cool ideas. Let's dive into some of the technical aspects of this vehicle.
Manufacturer.
It was manufactured not by Corellian.
Ooh.
It's not a Corellian ship. I don't want to burst your bubble. It's Slayn Korpil, who worked on the B-Wing, so there's a nice parallel there. Beautiful parallel there.
Model and class.
It's a T-6 shuttle, a Jedi Ambassador shuttle.
Technical specifications.
22.8 metres in length, so it's quite a lengthy ship. There's a good size to it. But again, as you've just alluded to, because the angular nature of the wings moving around and just the way the cockpit rotates, it feels like a very different ship when the wings are horizontal to when the wings are vertical.
Very much so, yeah. It also reminds me of Dryden Voss's vehicle in the Solo film.
First Light.
Anything that's sort of very vertical like that. The B-Wing as well, before the wings pop out.
Yeah.
It's just a line, isn't it, really?
The bomber from Last Jedi.
Bomber. And those sort of ships, they almost defy logic.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, why should something be able to fly either vertically or horizontally? Why not?
Well, there's no up or down in space.
No, exactly. Yeah. But it's just one of those things that I think that they like to continue to do with throughout the Star Wars galaxies, come up with ships that actually have that silhouette, if you like.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other series that's done that.
I think it's as cool as hell. Star Trek's done certain ships when they're very deep, very almost like a tower block. Onto the nacelles, off the nacelles, onto the saucer section and stuff. So, and the B-Wing's the first thing you really think of when you think of that type of thing.
Yeah, the B-Wing, when that first came out, it kind of jarred, didn't it, really,
Yeah.
and everything else? But that was a good thing because you could spot it.
That's very true. That's very true.
Hyperdrive system.
It's equipped with a hyperdrive system, as we know, but not one good enough to get you to another galaxy, hence the Purgles and the Pinocchio scene.
Hyperdrive rating.
It's a Class 1 hyperdrive, so it's a very fast ship within the boundaries of our galaxy, as we say.
Yeah.
Maximum atmospheric speed.
1,200 kilometres an hour, which is pretty much as fast as you tend to get with Star Wars vessels in atmosphere.
Yes, that's pretty comparable to some of the better ships, isn't it?
Yeah.
The whole idea of the Purgles was quite weird anyway, wasn't it? Very Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And I suppose they are hitchhiking to another galaxy.
My goodness. Why didn't I think of that?
Maybe that's why they thought of it. Maybe that's where that idea came from.
That's genius.
Yeah, because they talk about whales in space and hitchhikers, don't they?
They do, sperm whale.
Ask that question when you're about next time.
That's so apt.
Armament.
It has no armament.
Weapons systems.
It has 2 missile launchers.
Escape craft.
It has a survival capsule equipped with ejector seats. Now, that feels like the last option you want, doesn't it? That feels like a bad ride at Blackpool.
That feels like, you're just about to hit the ground, now eject at exactly the right moment.
Literally
kind of thing.
that.
Yeah, you're not going to want to do that in space. Definitely not.
Crew complement.
It's got a crew of 2, a minimum crew of 1. It carries passengers. Doesn't tell us exactly how many, but you can see from the vessel, you see the way that the cabin is laid out, the living area, if you like, that table that comes up and down where she trains.
Yeah.
It's very malleable, isn't it? It feels like a vessel that you could equip it in many different ways.
Adapt in quite a variety of ways. I would imagine you could comfortably get 10 to a dozen people on there. But yeah, you're right. It's push this button, this pops up, push this button, that pops up. It's like the best RV that you could get.
Well, it is, isn't it? And again, it's one of those, it's a great analogy, really. And it's limited technical statistics that we've got at this point of time, such as it is. But we know where we're going with this vessel and when we're talking about it. You look at it and it is a shuttle and it's a Jedi vessel and it's got that elegance about it. I don't know when this first came into service, but it feels like it's designed, let's put it that way. It's not just thrown together like some ships. This is designed. There's an aesthetic to this vehicle.
So our earliest encounter with it would have been the Clone Wars era?
Clone Wars, yeah.
So you're talking 20, 25 years before the events of A New Hope, thereabouts. So it's been around a while, but I mean, there's clearly some design thought gone into it to be able to make it that adaptable. And I suppose with it being built around that time, that's why you've got things like the training suite and stuff like that, because it would have been a more prominent thing for Jedi to be training each other out while they're out on missions and things far away from Coruscant.
Exactly.
Vehicle usages.
It was used during the Clone Wars. It's got that sort of history. And by the time of the rebellion against the Empire, the shuttle cockpit was used in the design of the ASF-01 B-Wing starfighter. So all makes sense.
We guessed that.
We're geniuses. We're geniuses.
For everything in one location, daily news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, video and social media feeds, bookmark FanthaTracks.com for Star Wars news 24/7, 365.
It was present very, very prominently for the Jedi Order. The Alliance to Restore the Republic, and you do see one of these beautiful vessels at the end of Rise of Skywalker and the Citizens Fleet as well. So it's a vehicle that's got some sort of tenure. They hang around.
I was going to ask that question, whether it was seen in the Rise of Skywalker. So there is a version of it.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it's there, not because it's there. And you see, we see a Star Speeder 3000 in there. Everything is in there. It's the literal Star Wars vehicle kitchen sink scene. 14,000 ships. You're going to throw everything in there.
You do need to pause it.
Really?
Just to check they're all there.
Oh, yeah. So 1, 2, 3. One of the beautiful things about the vessel, and specifically the vehicle that we see Ahsoka and Sabine and the team in the Ahsoka series use, and we will again, it's adorned with a galactic roundel, a.k.a. the Republic sigil, the logo of the Republic, the Phoenix.
Yes.
That Phoenix look. So the Republic crest, it's painted in red and white onto the vessel. Certain vessels, when you first see the Falcon, very first chronologically see the Falcon in Revenge of the Sith, you see it flying onto Coruscant, and it's got sort of almost burgundy purple sort of stripes on it. It's a different paint job on the Falcon.
I wasn't even sure that was the Falcon.
Now there's a question, because and we're going way off topic here. George Lucas always said that it was, but when we had Solo come out, which I know Lucas was involved with quite early on in the design and the planning of that film before the sale to Disney, you see a beautiful, pristine Lando-era Falcon that gets absolutely battered by Solo flying it for the first time. So, of course, Han's not flying the Falcon when you see it in Revenge of the Sith. No. But it is supposed to be the Falcon. I just wonder whether or not it's officially been retconned to be a YT-1300 but not the Falcon, or whether the Falcon was always battered and then somebody took it on and did a beautiful job on it.
I'd like to think that perhaps it was the Falcon, and that Lando, he was one of these impeccably dressed sort of characters who would have spent a lot of money in doing it up. He obviously had the notch put in the front that took away the gap between the two prongs, and that was all his doing. I think he pimped his ride, basically.
Oh, I love the thought of that. But wouldn't it be cool if that was the case, that you could... There's no reason why they couldn't do that.
No. I mean, the Falcon is supposed to be quite an old vehicle, isn't it?
Definitely not fresh off the assembly line. As we mentioned before, the cockpit, it rotates around the engine block. So it's got a rotating engine block and a cockpit that orients with the rest of the ship when landing or in flight. So it has options in that sense. Well, it has to land sort of with the wings horizontal, the shorter wings at the other way. So it's a trait made possible by shock-resistant gimbals, which keeps that the centre of gravity.
What a great word, gimbal.
Isn't it? It's one of many technological advancements included in the shuttle by its Verpine designers. So the Verpine were, from memory, this is digging back to West End Games era, the Verpine were a reptilian sort of insectoid race that did incredible starship designs. So they're involved in this, and that makes all the sense. And I think, if I remember, and I don't know whether it's mentioned in the Rebels episode, when you see Hera fly the B-Wing for the first time, the Shantipole episode, whether or not the Verpine were involved in that. I'd be surprised if they weren't, because it was always, from memory, it always felt like it was part of that. In landing configuration, the ship sat horizontally with a trio of landing gear. The cockpit, which was slightly conical, was aligned with the body of the ship. Yeah. And the three engines, if you remember looking at the ship from the back, and when you mentioned the First Light, Dryden Voss's ship, and you see all the engines sort of stacked at the back, which looks like a real mean sort of hot rod look, and this has a similar kind of vibe to it. You wouldn't want to be behind this ship.
No.
You know.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Yes, they look pretty powerful, meaty beasts, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
This is one of those ships, and I don't know whether you agree, that you've seen it in Jedi service, and you kind of imagine that it will be in Republic or Rebel Alliance service at some point, even though I don't think we've seen it in Rebel Alliance service yet.
No.
We've kind of skipped that era of this vessel. We know we've seen it in the Clone Wars, we haven't seen it in the OT, now we're beyond the OT.
We didn't see it landed at all on The Rise of Skywalker, did we?
I don't believe so.
Don't think so.
But I mean, even that's the sequel trilogy, and that's even further out. But I just wonder what other usages. I mean, it's, as we say, affiliations with Galactic Republic, Jedi Order, Orders to Restore the Republic, which is post-Battle of Endor, post-Battle of Jakku, we should say these days. I just wonder what other uses or what other outfits would or could use a vehicle like this, because it does feel like driving around in the 70s in a Panda car without having it painted. You know, remember in police cars, you had that weird blue colour?
Nasty turquoise.
Yeah. You know, when you saw a Panda car, which was a Panda car in Austin Allegro, I mean...
I can remember seeing it as an Austin 1300, things like that.
But you know what I'm getting at?
The only time you saw that powder blue colour was on the disability vehicle.
The little three-wheel Reliant Robin things. Yeah, God. That takes me back.
I think those were electric as well, weren't
they? They were, like milk floats were back in the day, Good grief. Tangents.
So let's just say then that's what its use has been for a big period of time. It was being used as a Panda car.
A Panda car. There you go. Google it, kids.
Hi, I'm Duncan Poe, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
Vehicles of this class, as we mentioned, featured ejection seats that, when launched, enclosed the being in a flexible, cushioned, survivable capsule. I love the thought of that. We mentioned the ejection seats earlier and how dangerous it reads when you read about it, but actually when you dig into it a little bit more, if you're cushioned in, it's just a great big bouncy balloon or bouncy cushion. You could end up anywhere, couldn't you?
I think you'd just be like in an enclosed ball pit. You probably have a few sort of snacks floating around in there.
I think it'd be like watching the lyrics on a karaoke machine.
Yeah. Sitting there going, well, hope they turn up soon.
Turn the transponder on quick. So it's a fascinating vehicle, I think, to look at. As I say, there's not a huge amount of information yet, and I know as time moves on, when we get to Ahsoka Season 2, that information, that tech information, will start to fill out. When this vehicle starts hitting more of the sort of the technical manual books and such, we'll have more detail, and I'm sure we'll come back to this vessel at some point in the future.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure I'm not the only person that will be listening to this and thinking...
You better not be.
Do you know? This is a vehicle that's kind of passed me by. So it's actually, in doing this show, has made me want to go back and look at it more and see more of its exploits over the years.
Yeah.
And get a better feel for it. I think this is a ship that will become more prominent as time goes by.
I agree.
Certainly in Ahsoka Season 2. Now, we know that because of its existence beyond that it's not going to get destroyed in Ahsoka Season 2.
True.
So that's a good thing. Yeah, it's one of those ships that I think really does need better promotion and wider knowledge applying to it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's a fascinating ship.
Yeah, I very much agree. I hope we do see more of it. As we say, Ahsoka Season 2, the last time we saw it, it did, if you remember, it did have that crash landing after Thrawn and the Star Destroyer leapt back to our galaxy, whatever our galaxy's called, the Star Wars galaxy, and they're stranded on Peridia, so complete reversal of where everybody was at the start of the season.
That's right, yeah.
And they still have the T6 with them, so either they hopefully figure a way to repair it, or Ahsoka figures a way to get the Purgles to come back, but you're still going to get up high enough to hitch a ride. Yeah,
I'm guessing that the characters that are looking after Ezra, it's going to transpire that they're really good at tech, and they're going to help to get that ship back up and running. I think within 1 or 2 episodes, we'll be close to everybody being back together again, because I hope they don't drag it out. Let's get everybody back together and get a proper war going on. It does feel that this Ahsoka season is going to be setting up a cinematic release.
Yeah.
Because we've obviously heard that there is going to be something that brings together the Mandoverse.
Yeah.
And I think probably the best sort of fulcrum for that.
Oh, my God.
Oh, dear. How's he doing for the money? But I think the best fulcrum to do that is the Ahsoka storyline.
Yeah.
Because that's the one where we're going to get Thrawn brought in as the big bad. So it makes sense that he becomes the big bad.
I think we've dug very nicely into this vehicle.
We've done very well to get through that one.
We've done really well to get through that one. And we're going to do it again very soon. I don't know what we're going to talk about next. Is anything leaping to mind? Anything you're thinking, oh, really, we haven't tackled this era of vessels or this type of ship?
I would like to probably have a think about that.
That's a great answer. I'll vote for you when the next election comes around. That's a politician's answer. Very good.
Exactly. No, I've got a few ideas, but I'll run them past you before we get it out into the wide world.
Lovely. Well, we'll see everybody next episode, or rather hear everybody, or rather you'll hear us, hopefully.
What's he on about?
I've got no idea. Thanks for listening to Start Your Engines. If you want to be a part of the action and stay updated on all the latest Star Wars news, visit fanthatracks.com and be sure to comment, like and share on any of our social media feeds at Fantha Tracks. You can reach out to us and send in your listeners' questions by emailing radio@fanthatracks.com. Subscribe, leave a review, preferably a 5-star one, on Amazon Music, Audible, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcatcher or smart speaker of choice. And as always, thanks to James Semple for composing the Fantha Tracks intro and our Start Your Engines opening music, Mark Daniel and Vanessa Marshall for our voiceovers, and of course the data miners at Wikipedia. Remember to tune in to Good Morning Tatooine. It's live Sunday evenings at 9 o'clock UK time, 4 PM Eastern and 1 PM Pacific on Facebook, YouTube and Twitch. And check out our Fantha Tracks Radio Friday night rotation. It's every Friday night at 7 o'clock UK time for new episodes of The Fantha from Down Under, Planet Leia, Desert Planet Discs, Start Your Engines, Collecting Tracks, Cannon Fodder, and special episodes of Making Tracks, and every Tuesday at 7 o'clock UK time for your weekly episode of Making Tracks.
Bye. Bye.
Coming up next on Fantha Tracks Radio, it's Cannon Fodder.
We don't just throw this together, do we?
No, it's not like we're making this up. We're just doing it on the fly.